My name's Louise. I am a heavy vehicle and plant mechanic by trade.
I'm Gabby and I am a fourth year apprentice cabinet maker.
My name is Ashley Beebe and I'm a heavy vehicle diesel mechanic.
Hi ladies, my name is Gabrielle. I'm 12 years old, so about to start high school, and I'm thinking about the career that I may want to take. I'd love to pick your brains. So let's start with, what did you want to be when you grow up?
I fluctuated between wanting to be a makeup artist, be in the Navy, be a nurse.
I wanted to be active. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. All I knew is that I didn't want to just sit still.
And I did consider carpentry for a bit, but yeah, I ended up in cabinet making.
I feel like I'm changing my mind all the time for what I want to be. And why did you choose a career in trade?
I actually became a diesel mechanic by mistake because of my year 10 work experience opportunity. I put my hands up to attend work experience with a local employer and I had no idea what I'd signed up for. But I was fortunate that my parents convinced me not to waste a good opportunity, and I went and attended my week of work experience rebuilding diesel engines, and I loved it.
I chose a career in the trades because I like to be active. I found it mentally challenging and extremely interesting, and I loved knowing how big machines worked and being able to fix them when there was an issue.
I chose the trade that I'm in now because my partner is a cabinet maker and I had the opportunity to labour with him for a bit. I really got a feel for building and being able to look at a job finished and just thought, yep, I'm happy with this, and I went and found my own apprenticeship.
It almost sounds like for some of you that the career chose you rather than you chose it. Where did you start in this journey and how did you bring it to life?
I started in this career, labouring with my partner. I was, I think, 32 or 33 when I started.
I started my career in the trades when I was 15. I knew I didn't want to continue on to year 11 and 12 at school and go to university, so I did work experience in year 10 in my school holidays, which then led me to do motorcycle mechanics with that work experience, and then led me to a heavy vehicle workshop where I just found the idea of being able to fix these big trucks so interesting, so intriguing, and just I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else from that moment.
Okay, so I still have a few years ahead of me before I need to make my final choice. What did your family and friends think about your choice of career?
My family was very supportive when it came to choosing a trade outside of high school because as my parents ran their own successful business, they knew that university wasn't necessarily the only path to success.
My family and friends were really supportive of my decision to become a mechanic because it seemed like a natural progression for me. I was always active out on using my hands, and I did get a few kind of, oh, that's going to be hard. And when I was going to apply for jobs, people would say, oh, you know, you're small, you're this, you're that. But my family and my core support group were super supportive.
My family and friends were always supportive. My dad, years ago when I'd said I'd considered doing a trade, had said, he was a bit hesitant because he was worried about how I'd be treated working in a male-dominated industry. But once I went ahead and got into it, I think they were happy for me. Like, I was happy, I was productive.
I reckon my family and friends would be cool with whatever choice of career I make, just as long as I'm happy. And what's been the most challenging part of your career journey?
The most challenging part of my career in trades, I'd honestly have to say it's myself. I'm very critical of myself. I hold myself to very high standards, and I'm just a little bit of a control freak, which makes things a bit tricky.
The most challenging part of my career journey would be my mental health. So being in a career that, honestly, the main kind of culture in there is a toxic masculinity kind of culture, and then being a female and having a mental health struggle, which I didn't realize I had. I kind of thought I was broken, which I definitely am not, and neither are you. Recognizing and then working out the tools that I needed to overcome those mental health challenges was the biggest thing that I did for myself.
The challenges in the workshop that sometimes result around it being a male-dominated industry and perceived as a male-dominated industry are actually very much in the minority. A lot of the workforce is becoming more aware that females are just as capable and just as valuable in work environments that they may not have originally been seen. And I think the biggest barrier in terms of changing the balance of male to woman in trade environments is definitely just giving women the permission and girls the permission to actually pursue these careers.
Okay, not as many challenges as I was expecting, but it's so good to hear that females are not only accepted but highly valued. And what do you think has been the most rewarding part of this career journey?
The most rewarding part of my journey has definitely been that since I chose a trade, I'm actually able to go and set up my own business where I can actually build and create something for myself.
Just being able to grow so much along the way. So first being able to learn from first year, second year to third year, fourth year, and recognizing how much stuff I know now than what I used to know.
Growing as a person, growing as a partner and a teammate, like I said, you start here and you have so much self-doubt and you question yourself, and then you get 3 years down the track and like, how did I ever not be able to do that? Or why did I used to stress so much about that? But it's just every day, every month, every year, it's growth. And I think that's fantastic.
It's so good to hear that you all sound so happy with what you're doing. But is there anything you would have done differently in hindsight?
Looking back on my apprenticeship especially, the one thing I would have done differently is potentially changed workplaces while I was still an apprentice. Because as much as learning and being within one employer can be a valuable thing, when it comes to the trade industries, it's often valuable to get more exposure and more experience.
Maybe get a bit more experience with using tools and getting confidence with tools. Like even now when I pull out the planer, I'm like, I don't know how to use this.
Probably the only thing that I would have done differently in my career would be to listen to myself and my body. Listen to what my body was telling me when I was tired, when I was exhausted, when I was overwhelmed. So then I knew when to pull back, sit down and relax.
Yeah, it's always helpful to learn from your mistakes. And what are your dreams and aspirations for your career from here?
Obviously the dream would be one day to maybe have your own business.
My dreams and my goals from here are actually to inspire more women to enter the business into trade.
So my dreams at this point in my career is definitely to establish a business where I can create more freedom to not only work and do something I love, but also give myself more time to work on the parts and the hobbies I have outside of being a diesel mechanic.
It sounds like you all have a really clear view of where you want your career to go, and that's just great. Now, what advice would you have for young females like me at the start of this journey?
Get experience wherever you can. If you've got a dad, an uncle, an auntie, your mum, whoever, or anyone that you know that has a trade, just get in there and labour and learn and listen and try a few different things.
Advice I have for young females and males alike at the start of their journey is to not be afraid to give it a try. Because the reality is you can't know whether you like something or not unless you put your hand up and give it a go. And even if you try something and you find out you don't like it, that's not necessarily wasted effort, because that information can be just as valuable in helping you figure out what it is you want to do with yourself after high school or any education journey you take.
My advice for any young women wanting to enter into the trades would be to do what makes you happy. Do what makes your heart sing, no matter what anyone says. Hard things can make you happy. Easy and happy don't go straight together. Happy is a thing on its own, and that spark and that fulfillment is a thing on its own. Sometimes it's hard to get there, and trust me, if you know that's what makes you happy, keep on going and keep on doing it.
Thank you for sharing your stories, and just know that you're such good role models for girls like me who are to follow.
Take the leap and start an exciting career in skilled trades today.